It's midnight and you're watching Nightline with me, Sabrina Zainal. The top stories. Nurul Izzah elected as PKR's deputy president. And at least 60 people killed by Israeli strikes in Gaza. Good morning. We begin with this story. Nurul Izzah Anwar has been elected as the new PKR deputy president, defeating incumbent Datuk Sri Rafizi Ramli in the party's polls, while Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim is unopposed for the position of president. The official results were announced by PKR Election Committee Chairman Datuk Sri Dr. Zaliha Mustafa during the party's National Congress held in Johor Bahru on Friday night. Nurul Izzah secured 9,803 votes to overcome Rafizi, who garnered 3,866 votes for the party's number 2 post. Meanwhile, incumbent PKR Vice Presidents Datuk Sri Amiruddin Shari, Datuk Sri Aminuddin Harun and Chang Lee Kang have successfully retained their positions. The contest also saw a new face, Datuk Sri R. Ramanan, joining the VP lineup. Fadlina Sidek was also re-elected Wanita PKR chief after beating Rodzia Ismail in a one-on-one contest. Kamil Munim was elected as the new PKR youth chief as he won the position unopposed. Other notable winners were Datuk Fahmi Fadzil and outgoing youth chief Adam Adli Abdul Halim, who were among those newly appointed to the party's Central Leadership Council. In another development, Anwar has defended the government's decision to extend the tenure of Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki despite criticism from various quarters. He stressed that the decision was made because Azam has demonstrated exceptional courage in combating corruption.
Saya boleh ganti. Saya boleh bicara dengan kawan-kawan, saya boleh ganti esok. Tapi saya tak yakin yang baru itu berani toke punya bilion-bilion ringgit kekayaan.
Anwar, who was also PKR president, said this in his policy speech at the opening of the party's National Congress on Friday night. He admitted that he now sees the MACC as being bolder in taking action, including against high-profile individuals and powerful business figures compared to during previous administrations. He therefore hopes that these efforts will receive the support of the people. The government is committed to fostering humanitarian values in the pursuit of economic progress. At an event in Johor earlier, Anwar stressed that even the most modern infrastructure would be meaningless if the people were greedy, arrogant, and lacked compassion. Speaking at the launch of the Johor 2025 Madani Rakyat program in Johor Bahru, Anwar said the Malaysia Madani concept calls on the people, especially the younger generation, to understand the true meaning of human development. He said humanitarian values, moderation and mutual understanding between races and religions must continue to be nurtured and upheld as core principles in building a united and harmonious nation.
Agama tidak pernah ajar kebencian. Sebab itu saya nak anak-anak muda ajar golongan tua yang kurang faham arti kemanusiaan. Anak-anak muda beri contoh yang baik bagaimana negara ini boleh disatukan dengan semangat Malaysia Madani.
In addition, the Prime Minister urged youths to seize opportunities arising from the rapid growth of the semiconductor industry in the country. He noted that Malaysia is now emerging as a key semiconductor hub in the region and has become a preferred investment destination for major global tech giants such as Infineon, Nvidia, and MyStorage. The 46th ASEAN Summit kicked off with a series of key meetings that will shape the agenda and pace of the conference. Among the meetings held on Friday was the Committee of Permanent Representatives to ASEAN, which coordinates shared policies and priorities among member states. Following the session, a series of preparatory meetings took place, including those between ASEAN senior officials from ASEAN and the Gulf Cooperation Council, and senior officials from ASEAN, the GCC, and China. The ASEAN senior officials meeting acts as the primary coordination session held ahead of the ASEAN senior officials meeting, ministerial meeting, and summit. Malaysia is chairing the 46th ASEAN Summit themed Inclusivity and Sustainability. More than 1,200 media personnel, including 500 international agencies, have gathered to cover the summit taking place on May 26th and 27th. In addition to setting the regional agenda, the summit includes several important discussions, official meetings, and the signing of strategic trade agreements. Meanwhile, Foreign Ministry Secretary-General Datuk Seri Amran Muhammad Zain highlighted the spirit of cooperation shown by all ASEAN member states, GCC countries, and China during the preparatory meetings, reflecting a collective commitment to constructive engagement and achieving meaningful outcomes at both summits.
Semasa kedua-dua mesyuarat peringkat pegawai kanan tadi untuk ASEAN GCC dan juga untuk ASEAN China, saya katakan aspirasi ataupun sasaran utama yang diketengahkan ialah supaya ada dokumen hasil. Dan ke depan kita perlu tengok aspek-aspek perincian isu-isu yang akan dimuatkan dalam dokumen hasil tersebutlah.
This year's ASEAN Summit is expected to be particularly significant, featuring the second ASEAN GCC Summit and the inaugural ASEAN GCC China Summit, which is a reflection of ASEAN's growing engagement with key international partners. In a separate development, ASEAN leaders are also expected to deliberate on Timor-Leste's membership status during the summit. Economic analyst Associate Professor Ahmed Rasman Abdul Latif emphasized that the country's accession should be assessed not only from a regional standpoint, but also in light of the increasingly complex and challenging global geopolitical landscape.
Sudah tentu kita tahu bahawa Timor-Leste sudah lama memohon untuk menyertai ASEAN, dan pada sidang kali ini kita mahu juga melihat apakah yang menjadi satu faktor utama untuk membolehkan Timor-Leste menyertai ASEAN ataupun masih kekal sebagai pemerhati.
He added that Timor-Leste's admission could boost its economy and strengthen regional cooperation within the economic bloc. The island nation first submitted its application to become a member of ASEAN back in 2011. The ASEAN Cybersecurity Collaboration Strategy 2026 to 2030, led by Malaysia, is expected to be finalized by the end of this year. The initiative is part of a regional effort to strengthen digital defense and resilience. National Cybersecurity Agency (NACSA) Chief Executive Officer Megat Zuhairi Megat Tajuddin said the draft strategy will be deliberated during a series of forums and workshops in July, held in conjunction with the Cyber Defense and Security Exhibition and Conference 2025. The talks, involving representatives from all 10 ASEAN member states, will focus on a 5-year action plan centered around 3 core pillars: information sharing, joint technology development, and human capital growth.
Kita berkongsi maklumat antara 10 negara-negara ASEAN dalam konteks isu-isu berkaitan dengan maklumat perisikan, perkongsian dalam menangani insiden keselamatan cyber. Keduanya juga kita akan berkolaborasi dengan negara-negara ASEAN lain dalam membangunkan produk-produk yang dibangunkan di kalangan talent-talent dan bakat ASEAN, bukan sahaja di Malaysia tetapi bakat-bakat di kalangan negara-negara ASEAN lain.
He said this to the media at the closing ceremony of Cyber Games 2025 in Kuala Lumpur on Friday. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim previously announced that the National Cybersecurity Committee supports NACSA's efforts to lead initiatives aimed at strengthening national cybersecurity, particularly in protecting the country's critical information infrastructure. This follows NACSA's report, which revealed an upward trend in cyber attacks. The Attorney General's Chambers, AGC, is considering to dismiss the contempt proceedings filed by Datuk Sri Najib Razak against former AG Tan Sri Ahmad Teriruddin Muhammad Saleh in relation to the Royal Addendum Order. The AGC described the former Prime Minister's action as an abuse of court process and a violation of the Kuala Lumpur High Court's earlier order to stay all proceedings related to the Addendum Decree. The AGC said this in a statement issued on Friday in response to the contempt proceedings filed by Najib last Wednesday. The former Pekan Member of Parliament in his application claimed that the former AG had allegedly instructed his officers to mislead the High Court by dismissing Najib's claims as speculative and based on hearsay. The AGC described Najib's move to initiate contempt proceedings against Teriruddin as premature and in direct violation of a standing court order. The statement added that the issue raised in the application is the subject of an ongoing appeal over the Royal Addendum, which has yet to be decided by the Federal Court. The AGC also defended Teriruddin, stating that the former AG had performed his duties in accordance with the law throughout his tenure. The Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone has successfully attracted investors' interest and confidence. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the federal government remains committed to enhancing Johor's infrastructure and facilities to the highest standards in order to bolster investor confidence and ensure the overall success of the economic zone. Now, Anwar said this after attending the Johor Special State Development Meeting held in Johor Bahru on Friday. His arrival was warmly welcomed by the Johor Menteri Besar, Datuk On Hafiz Ghazi, along with state exco members. In the meeting, the state government presented priority development projects in Johor, including issues related to raw water supply, access systems at the Customs, Immigration, Quarantine, Sultan Iskandar Building and Sultan Abu Bakar Complex, the operations of the Pasir Gudang Hospital and land affairs. The presentation also included several pre-implementation projects currently in the planning phase. Japan's core inflation accelerated at its fastest annual pace in more than 2 years in April, raising the odds of another interest rate hike by year end. Now, according to data released on Friday, the Core Consumer Price Index, CPI, which excludes fresh food but includes oil prices, rose by 3.5% in April from a year earlier, exceeding market forecasts for a 3.4% gain and up from a 3.2% increase recorded in March. Headline inflation climbed 3.6% from a year ago, staying above the Bank of Japan's 2% target for more than 3 years, steady from the prior month. Bank of Japan Governor Kazuo Ueda has signaled the central bank's readiness to keep raising rates, albeit at a slower pace, while the authorities pause to assess the impacts from U.S. tariffs. Second suspect remanded in Bachok acid attack. More news from the local front after this breather.
Satria, bangki. Intel untuk misi khas diterima. Saya, Ejen Ali dan Ejen Alisha akan menjalankan misi di Karnival Jom Heboh Kuala Lumpur bermula pada 30 Mei sehingga 1 Jun di KL Base Kuala Lumpur. Pelbagai aktiviti menarik menanti anda. Temui kami bersama selebriti studio tonton drama sangat, pesta makanan, aktiviti sukan, belon udara panas, Jom Esports Championship, konsert Jom Heboh dan banyak lagi. Misi Karnival Jom Heboh bermula sekarang. Jom, jom, jom!
Parenting today isn't harder. it's just noisier. To be sure of what kind of content she's watching also, I make sure that she watches it on the big screen. So at least I can hear what's...
You can monitor what she's watching.
Monitor,
well.
yes.
As parents, of course, we play the good cop, bad cop. Mom plays the bad cop, I play the good cop.
Okay.
Right? So try to negotiate with them. I negotiate them. If not, I will have to talk to your mom.
Only on TV3. Stream now on Tonton.
Agent Ali The Movie 2 Misi Satria unfreaking believable. Saya banyak letak expectation untuk filem ni, tapi banyak yang saya letak tu boleh buang ke tepi sebab dia bagi saya expectation baru. Sebab plot twist demi plot twist demi plot twist, korang tak akan dapat expect apa yang akan ada dalam filem ni. So korang kena tengok sendiri.
Satria, bangkit.
Diri saya ni sebelah ni dah tak ada fungsi dah. Satu lantai tu. Dan bangkit tu letak je bontot terus tumbang. Saya dah tak ingat apa dah.
Kadang-kadang saya terputus juga makanan. Kadang hanya sekadar nasi goreng kosong dengan bawang goreng.
Welcome back. In Malacca, 2 foreign nationals died after the car they were traveling in crashed into a lorry in Malacca Tengah on Friday. The 5:30 a.m. incident claimed the lives of 47-year-old Bangladeshi national Abdullah Shahid and 46-year-old Vietnamese national Nguyen Thanh Loan. The accident was captured by a closed-circuit television CCTV camera and later uploaded to social media. The footage shows the lorry travelling from the direction of Justin making a U-turn on the Alor Gajah Malacca Tengah Justin Highway before the car, travelling in the opposite lane, crashed into the vehicle. District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Christopher Patit said the collision caused both victims to be pinned inside the car, which was wedged under the lorry. Firefighters had to use specialized rescue equipment to extricate the victims, who were pronounced dead by medical personnel at the scene. The bodies were later sent to Malacca Hospital for post-mortem, and the crash is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. In the meantime, 2 workers died after reportedly falling into a confined space inside the hull of a barge docked near Lorong Lanang 61 in Cebu, Sarawak on Friday morning. The victims were identified as 48-year-old Ting Tung Hu and 55-year-old Tang Sing Kok. According to Cebu Central Fire and Rescue Department Operations Commander Joannis Joseph, a 12-member team was dispatched to the scene after an emergency call was received at 9:21 a.m. Upon arrival, the team found both victims unconscious at the bottom of a confined space measuring approximately 30 centimeters in diameter and 3.7 meters deep. Firefighters successfully retrieved the victims using ropes and specialized rescue equipment before paramedics pronounced them dead at the scene, with a cause believed to be inhalation of toxic gas. Both bodies were then handed over to the police for further action. An investigation into the cause of the incident is still ongoing. Now in Kelantan, another suspect has been remanded for 7 days by the Kota Baru Magistrates Court in connection with last Saturday's acid attack on a spa owner in Bachok. The remand order, which began on Friday, was issued by Magistrate Rais Imran Hamid to assist police investigations into the case. Bachok Police Chief Superintendent Muhammad Ismail Jamaluddin said the suspect, a 45-year-old man, was detained at a rubber factory in Kuala Krai on Thursday. The man, an employee at the factory, is believed to be an acquaintance of a 38-year-old woman who was arrested at the same location on Wednesday. The female suspect, who also works at the factory, has been remanded for 5 days until this coming Monday. In the 8:30 p.m. incident, 27-year-old spa owner Nur Fazira Muda was reported to have suffered burns to over 80% of her back and arms up to the elbows. She was allegedly splashed with acid by a suspect who had posed as a customer and made an appointment with the victim. In Sabah, another 2 former bank officers have been remanded for a week to facilitate investigations into a corruption case involving 300,000 ringgit in bribes. The bribes were allegedly offered as an inducement to approve 11.2 million ringgit in loans using falsified documents. The Sandakan Sessions Court granted the remand order until next Thursday for both suspects who are in their 20s. They were detained after giving their statements at the Sandakan branch of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission on Thursday. 5 other men, including a bank officer aged between their 20s and 40s, have also been remanded in connection with the same case. The suspects are believed to have been involved in corrupt practices from 2022 to 2024 related to the approval of loans for 39 applicants. The case is being investigated under the MACC Act. Massive floods wreak havoc in Australia. The details when Nightline returns.
Nak kerja buat apa? Ni aku nak buka bisnes kopi untuk kita ni.
Konsep bisnes kita ni mewah. Biji kopi tu sini kena rare.
Drama bersiri sulung Nik Amir Mustafa.
Aku rasa aku tak boleh jual lah abang ni.
Lelaki tak bercerita, tapi diam-diam je. Move on, bina life baru.
Tapi perangai you macam...
Tepi. Ya, you tak apa, you okay.
Muat turun dan layan tonton sekarang. Semua favourite anda di sini.
Parenting today isn't harder. It's just noisier.
To be sure of what kind of content she's watching also, I make sure that she watches it on the big screen. So at least I can hear what's...
You can monitor what she's watching.
Monitor,
as well.
yes.
As parents, of course, we play the good cop, bad cop. Mom plays the bad cop, I play the good cop.
Okay.
Right? So try to negotiate with them. I negotiate them. If not, I will have to talk to your mom.
Only on TV3. Stream now on Tonton.
Action scene dia lagi gempak daripada yang previously. Music dia pun best. What you should expect is the movie is gonna like blow your mind. Banyak benda yang awak tak akan sangka akan berlaku. Jadi please fasten your seatbelt and enjoy the roller coaster of emotion.
Satria, bangkit.
Hari Ahad malam lah paling best nak layan filem-filem blockbuster di TV3. Sherali! Cintan-cintun luar angkasa pun ada.
It's gonna be okay.
Are you serious?
Dead serious.
Berdebar tak berdebar ni? Layan filem-filem hebat Mei ini di TV3 Blockbuster dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
News from the foreign front now. At least 60 people were killed by Israeli strikes across Gaza in a 24-hour period as Israel pressed ahead with its military offensive and allowed minimal aid into the strip. The dead included 10 people in the city of Khan Yunis, 4 in the town of Deir el-Balah, and 9 in the Jabalia refugee camp. On Thursday night, more than 50 Palestinians were killed or reported missing after an Israeli airstrike destroyed a home in Jabalia al-Balad. Civil defense crews described the scene as a horrific massacre on Friday, stating that they recovered the bodies of 4 victims and rescued 6 others from the rubble. However, more than 50 people are still believed to be trapped under the debris of the 4-story building. Rescue operations are said to have been completely halted due to a lack of heavy machinery, leaving the fate of those buried under the rubble unknown. A 5.7 magnitude earthquake hit close to the Indonesian island of Sumatra on Friday, damaging more than 100 houses. Now, according to the United States Geological Survey, USGS, the tremor hit at 2:52 a.m. local time at a depth of 68 kilometers, with the epicenter offshore near Bengkulu province. The country's meteorological agency had earlier given a higher magnitude of 6.0, with the epicenter at a depth of 84 kilometers. Local authorities said the tremor damaged 140 houses and at least 6 public facilities in the provincial capital of Bengkulu City. No casualties from the quake have been reported so far. Record-breaking floods in eastern Australia have killed 4 people and stranded tens of thousands after days of relentless rain. Now, it was reported that 4 bodies have been pulled from floodwaters in northern New South Wales, a fertile region of rivers and valleys about 400 kilometres from Sydney. Authorities said around 50,000 people are still isolated, while residents returning to their flooded homes were warned to watch out for dangers. Flash floods also tore through rural communities, washing away livestock, damaging homes and turning streets into rivers. Coastal areas are now littered with debris and dead animals. Moving on, Bangladesh's de facto prime minister has threatened to step down if political parties cannot agree on reforms that citizens await with growing impatience. Nobel Peace Laureate Muhammad Yunus took over as interim head of the South Asian nation of 173 million last August after a student-led uprising forced then Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to flee to India. Nahid Islam, leader of the newly formed National Citizen Party that insists national elections should be held after reforms are completed, said on Friday that Yunus was finding it difficult to work without the backing of political parties. Islam claimed that Yunus feels caught between competing demands from various political groups and increasing public impatience. Previously, Yunus promised major reforms in various sectors after Hasina's exit, but a lack of progress and growing political disagreement have put his administration in a tight spot. Moving on to sports now, badminton, the 2025 Malaysia Masters in Kuala Lumpur. As expected, national shuttlers continued to deliver impressive performances at the Super 500 tournament, with 3 out of 4 Malaysian representatives smashing their way into the semi-finals on Friday. In the men's doubles, Man Wei Chong and T Kai Woon pulled off a major upset by defeating compatriots and world number 2 pair Goh Jae Fei and Nur Izzuddin Muhammad Rumsani 19-21, 21-7, 21-16 in an all-Malaysian clash that lasted 45 minutes. The world number 8 duo will play Japan's world number 20 Takuro Hoki Yugo Kobayashi in the last 4. Meanwhile, Aaron Chia and So Woo Yik stormed into the semi-finals with a commanding 21-13, 21-19 victory against Denmark's Rasmus Kjær Frederik Søgaard. Their path to the title continues as they prepare to face another formidable Danish pair, Kim Astrup and Anders Skarup Rasmussen, in the semi-finals. Over in the women's doubles, Pearly Tan and Emti Naa were in imperious form, dispatching Indonesia's world number 9 pair, Febriana Dwi Puji Kusuma and Amalia Cahaya Pritiwi, in straight sets 21-14, 21-14 in just 33 minutes. The top Malaysian pair will now face China's world number 15 duo Jia Yifan and Zhang Shujian for a place in the final. On to football. 2 of Malaysia's football heavyweights, Kedah Darul Aman FC, KDAFC and Perak FC, have seen their time in the top flight Super League come to an end after failing to obtain the national license required for participation in the 2025 to 2026 season. Malaysian Football League MFL board member Datuk Muhammad Hisamuddin Yahya confirmed that the decision is final and that no further chances will be given, as the MFL has already appointed replacement clubs, Immigration FC and Malacca FC, to fill the vacancies left by KDA FC and Perak FC. He said 14 teams will compete in next season's Super League, including invited guests from Brunei, DPMM FC. Meanwhile, the MFL has fully implemented the financial fair play framework, which prohibits clubs from spending more than 80% of their annual budgets. The foreign player quota per club has also been set at 15, with a maximum of 7 allowed on the pitch at any given time, comprised of 4 open slots, 1 Asian player, and 2 from the ASEAN region. The first transfer window opens on June 9th, while the upcoming season is expected to begin in early August, with the official kickoff date yet to be confirmed. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at Switzerland's latest architectural marvel, Tor Alva, one of the world's tallest 3D printed structures, which was just unveiled for the first time in the quaint village of Moulins. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend.